We all know Zoran Mamdani, he won the Dem primary in the New York City mayor race. So he beat Andrew Cuomo. I think a lot of people are happy Cuomo lost. Like I was happy Cuomo lost. I think Andrew Cuomo is a corrupt scumbag, right? Who had the audacity to even run for another political position after so much happened when he was governor, right? Like we talked about the nursing home deaths. We talked about like the accusations that he had from 11 different women. Yeah, the balls of that guy, right? Now, what I forewarned people about is that Zoran, again, I told you guys he gives me AOC vibes. I do not think that he is going to lean into the left policies. I would say some of these left policies that he's running on. I think if he wins, he's going to try to find a way to go along, get along, fit in with Democrat establishment. I just think that's what it's going to be, right? But there's something else that happened that I was not aware of. And so my apologies to you guys, because when I covered that election night, I didn't know about the funding. And so there's a couple of things that are going on. Number one, now he is headed to the general election. And now he's going to be facing Eric Adams. I know. Eric Adams is running for re-election for mayor, even though he was indicted for misusing campaign funds. There's a number of issues that follow Eric Adams. He was pardoned, however, by Donald Trump. But one would think the right thing to do would just to be to stay out of this and not try to get back into office. But Eric Adams is running in the general election as an independent. So he was able to skip past the Democrat primary. Now, many people are sitting back and they're saying there's no way that people would vote for Eric Adams again. I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. It's crazy, I know, but I'm going to explain to you why I think that's going to happen. But I have a message like for progressives first and foremost. Number one, we got to talk about funding. When you say you're not for corporate money, you're against super PACs. That, for me, that applies to every candidate. I don't care what party you're running in. I'm a registered independent. I don't care if you're running third party or you're running as an independent. If you're taking big super PAC money, if you're taking corporate money, I'm not going to support you, right? I said the same thing about RFK when he was running as an independent. So no favorites on the show. No favorites on the show for politicians. And one of the things that I just found out after I was on George Galloway's show yesterday, I didn't know that Zoran Mamdani was connected to Peter Thiel fellow, and I didn't know that he took super PAC money. So these kind of things need to be said, and you let the voters decide what they want to do at the end anyway. But this kind of information, I don't understand why more people aren't talking about this. Maybe they just don't know, because I just found out yesterday, literally. So shout out to Reef from Indie News Network who shared this information. Yep, zero of you did your homework on Zoran. Here is a Theo fellow Fahim Zaman, founder of Care Dojo, dropping 100,000 on the campaign. So he shared these screenshots here. It says here, this is shared by Jeff Colton. Jane Fonda is apparently a Zoran Mamdani fan. She gave $1,000 to a super PAC backing his mayor run. And I was like, wait, hold up, what? So it says here, Jane Fonda, again, she did donate money to Zoran Mamdani. As campaign finance records show, she donated $1,000 to a super PAC boosting his mayor run. But that was dwarfed by $100,000 contribution from Fahim Zaman. It was the biggest donation by far to New Yorkers for lower costs, making up nearly half of the $210,000 the pro Mamdani super PAC has reported raising so far. So I have to ask everybody a question, and I'm being sincere here. Look, either you're not for super PACs or you're for it. Because one of the big reasons why I supported, like in the past, like I voted for Bernie Sanders and I supported like members of the squad was because they weren't taking this money. They weren't taking super PAC money. They weren't taking corporate funds. Like it was grassroots campaigns. And that was one of the things that pulled me towards that. And, Zoran, who I thought ran a grassroots campaign, I was kind of shocked to find this out. I was kind of shocked to see that he also was connected to super PAC money. So people got to make a decision here. Either you're for super PAC money or you're against it. And you don't get to say, and I have to be clear about this, you don't get to say you're running a grassroots campaign if you're taking super PAC money. I said the same thing about RFK. I don't give a damn. I'm not connected to these politicians. We're not buddies. We're not fam. It's not for me to try to get access. Some people try to be nice because they want to get them on their shows. I don't give a damn. So I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Either you're for super PAC money or you're against it. And whether you like him or not, you do need to call this out. And what I'm seeing happen is that people like him. And so because they do, they don't want to mention this. That's not right. That makes you no better than corporate media. Just how corporate media would not say certain things about Kamala Harris because they liked her. You can't do that. So we have to talk about this. The other thing here, we talked about the Peter Thiel fellow. This really rubs me the wrong way. Fahim Zaman, this is him, Peter Thiel fellow. So we need to, who are these people? Like it says here, Fahim Zaman is a young entrepreneur who recently left Harvard University to become one of the first Thiel fellows and pursue his dream of rethinking healthcare. Why? Peter Thiel, remember, it was Peter Thiel who created JD Vance. Peter Thiel's not good people. So I don't understand why this connection, why even, go this way. AOC didn't have to do that. All these other progressive politicians didn't have to do that to win. So I don't get it. I don't get it, but we have to call it out. And some people don't like that. Some people don't like when they're like, oh my God, that's Sabby. She's showing financial receipts. If I don't, then I'm just like corporate media. So we have to tell people the truth. So I was disappointed to see that. I was disappointed. And and then this one, here's another one that Reef shared. Did any of you do your homework on this one, or is it all just vibes and feels out here? Here's another one. Leaders We Deserve, the David Hogg Group gave $300,000 to Working Families Party, Super PAC, supporting Zora Mamdani in a slate of anti-Cuomo candidates this month, making the group the largest contributor to a Mamdani-affiliated Super PAC. So again, look, if he took Super PACs, it is what it is. But we cannot go around saying this was a grassroots campaign if he took Super PAC. You can't. And this is what happened when people they make these politicians a hero. They say this person is my hero. And I saw it already. People are doing the same thing that they did when the squad first ran. And I was guilty of this too. I was guilty of it too. You try to find excuses and everyone's just like, this person is going to save the day. Say it with me. Politicians are not saviors. A politician is not going to save you. The saving is going to come from within you and your community. That's why those of us at RBN, that's why we do mutual aid, because we know that directly helps our community. And we don't have to wait on a politician to pass said legislation that will hopefully be voted on to get things the right way to the community. So there's different ways that you can organize and different things that you can do. But what we're not going to do on here, we're not going to stand no politicians. I said this earlier today on RBN. You shouldn't trust any politician. I don't give a damn what party they running in. And this is something I had to find out the hard way. It's easy to fall for that course. It's easy to, oh my God, they're so great. And next thing you know, you get all, your eyes get all big and you get all excited. I know I had that energy and feeling with Bernie. I had that energy and feeling with AOC. Hell, I had that energy with Obama. So please, you guys do whatever you feel is best for your city, your community, but please do not hero worship these people at all. Now, to that point, this is the part that we really got to get to, because he is now going into the general election. So let's go ahead and bring this up here. And he will be running against Eric Adams. And the question that we got to ask is this. Zora Mamdani was able to win without the majority of the Black vote. The majority of the Black vote in New York City went to Andrew Cuomo. Now, I don't know what's happening there, but the majority of Black voters voted for Andrew Cuomo. There is a generational divide within the Black voting community. I'm going to keep it real with you. A lot of older Black voters tend to vote more for the establishment corporate Democrat. Like a lot of older Black voters tend to be further right leaning, right? And then a lot of the younger Black voters, we're more likely to vote for like a candidate that is running on like those progressive policies, like universal health care and free pre-K and all those types of things, right? One thing you have to keep in mind is a lot of older people, they don't need universal health care. If you're 65 and older, you already got Medicare, you straight. This was said to my face. This was said to my face. When I was trying to organize people for the Medicare for All marches and we were passing out flyers, you know what the older people said to us? I already got Medicare. So this is something that we need to talk about. Now, again, everybody is noticing this. Mamdani triumphed without the majority of Black voters. Where does that leave him? So one thing I can say is this: he was able to win without the majority of Black votes. And I'll show you which groups he was able to gain from. But I think this says something. And I think, for Black voters, I think we need to have a conversation with older Black voters. I think the younger Black voters, we have to have a conversation with older Black voters, because I'm trying to figure out, why would you support Andrew Cuomo? After the nursing home deaths, after the 11 women accusing him of sexual harassment, and then it hit me. Andrew Cuomo is someone that they know. It's someone that they recognize, someone who has been in the community, whether they were running or not. Don't forget, that's like a legacy. His father was also a politician, so they know him. The problem I think that Zoran and other progressive candidates tend to run into, and I mean like the DSA style candidates, they come into the Black community when they're running for office and they need your vote. But a lot of those people in the community don't see you outside of that. They don't see you in the community when you're not running. So then when you show up, they just think, oh, okay, well, they know me now because they want to get my vote. And this is why someone like Eric Adams can possibly win again. This is what everybody got to hear this. And I think some people, they don't want to hear it. I see a lot of people getting excited, but we got to look at this data. Let's go ahead and bring this up here. Because look, check it. Let me just scroll out so we can do the math here. We're going to filter by category, okay? So when we filter by category, hopefully everyone can see this. When you start with Andrew Cuomo for Black voters, he got plus 18. Andrew Cuomo got plus 18 Black voters. Mamdani got plus 5 for white voters, plus 15 for Asian voters, and plus 6 for Hispanic voters. Now let's go to the class issue because I'm going to show you how these things intersect. Mamdani received plus 13 for higher income voters, plus 10 points from middle income voters. However, it was Andrew Cuomo who received plus 13 from lower income. Now let's go ahead and make the connection. Andrew Cuomo received plus 18 from the Black voters and plus 13 from the lower income voters. This is why I say you can't just focus on class. This is that intersection. Andrew Cuomo was able to win over the majority of lower income Black voters. As I've told you before in the show over and over again, for Black people, we are at the bottom. The majority, we are at the bottom. When you look at wealth in this country, we've been at the bottom and we've stayed at the bottom. So if you are not active within the Black community, when you're not running, they are less likely to vote for you. Particularly older Black voters, they are less likely to support you. And people like me will get mad because we're like, dude, why do y'all keep repping Al Sharpton, man? Why you guys keep supporting Al Sharpton and Jim Clyburn and people like Andrew Cuomo? Like, I get angry, it bothers me. Like, why you keep supporting these mofos? But then I had to understand why. They know them. They see them. They're in the community. Now, that don't mean they actually helping them. Let's be clear about that. But they know them. So this is something that, and a lot of DSA people don't want to hear this. This is the problem when you focus only on class. This is similar problems I've seen with the DSA candidates where they're able to get like white voters, Asian voters, middle class, or like upper class or whatever. But when it comes to the black vote, they struggle. Now, he did better than it was predicted he would do with black voters. But the general election is in November. And you know who those black voters who voted for Andrew Cuomo, you know who they're going to vote for in the general election? 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Eric Adams. You know why? Because they know him, because he's in the community, not necessarily because he has good policies, not necessarily because he's not corrupt, because he's corrupt. So I tried to explain this to people when Bernie ran in 2020. I've tried to explain this over and over. And oftentimes what happens, and this is why you don't see me in those DSA spaces, because oftentimes what happens is you go to like the DSA chapter meetings. I never saw too many people in there look like me. And also, when we want to talk about income, I don't see too many lower income people in those meetings either. People have to understand that oftentimes they may look at like the DSA group, and for older black people who grew up in those communities, have lived in those communities their whole lives, they may kind of look at you as you're the ones that are coming in that are pushing them out of their neighborhoods. So they may not be feeling you. So people need to hear this. People need to wake up and hear this. You don't come into a neighborhood and take over. That shit happens here in Boston too. You don't come into a neighborhood and take over. You're supposed to be part of the community and work together. And oftentimes, that is not what's happening. Now, come November, general election, this is who you got. I don't even know who Curtis is, but Curtis Sliwa, he's running as a Republican. Eric Adams is running as an independent. Jim Walden is an independent, and Zoran Mamdani is the Democrat. Obviously, this race is going to be between Eric Adams and Zoran Mamdani. And I want to go ahead and show you what Eric Adams is saying right now, because Andrew Cuomo said he's considering running in the general as an independent, but Eric Adams says that's not a good idea. Check this out.
Really overwhelmed about the love and support that's coming from this community. I need you now. 4 quick things. 1, I'm going to send in this message my donation page. Please go make a donation and send it out to your friends and families and groups. 2, I'm going to attach my volunteer link. Anyone who desires to volunteer, click on that link and it allows you to sign up and be one of our volunteers. 3, I want you to post me on your page and send out messages to people that you know and that support of what we are doing. And 4, one of the most important things that we can do, I want you to ensure to come out to my announcement tomorrow, steps to City Hall, 12 p.m. Be there or be square.
So Eric Adams is going to be in that general election. Now, he was on Fox News as well. Again, I don't think he should be allowed to run. I mean, it's all there's so much corruption. He was on Fox and Friends. talking about how he thinks Zoran Mandami is a bad idea. Basically, the party has gone too far left, which we all know the majority of the Democratic Party has not moved in that direction. They love to exaggerate. Check this out.
Joining us now is New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who is running, even though he got elected as a Democrat, he's running for re-election as an independent. For your first response to that stunning news, Governor Cuomo is not going to be Mayor Cuomo.
Well, first, it's not stunning to me, and I was very clear, and I'm still a Democrat. I'm running on an independent line, which the policy in the law allows me to do. You had one candidate that was running away from his record. You had another candidate with no record, and you have Eric Adams with a record. I delivered for the city, and we're not going backwards. We're not going into a place where we want to defund the police, don't invest in jobs, where we believe we can make broken promises that we can't deliver. I delivered on every promise I gave to
Mr. Mayor, it's not just.
So let me pause here for a second. Obviously, we know he's against defunding the police because he was the police. I still feel like he is the police, right? Like Eric Adams under his leadership, let's think about the things that have happened. Don't forget how he sicked the NYPD on the kids who were protesting at Columbia University. Remember all that? That was him. Eric Adams is the same dude that did the perp walk with Luigi Mangione. Let's not forget about that. And looking all big and tough as if he had really done something. That was after he was just indicted. So it just, the levels of corruption are absolutely insane. Now, I know that some people are not happy with Eric Adams because the way that he handled the immigration issue, but I'm here to let you know right now, I think once again, the majority of the Black voters, I think, are going to support Eric Adams. And we'll have to look at the turnout from the previous primaries, and compare it with general, because oftentimes more voters turn out for the general election than the primary election. This is not to, I don't know how to say it. This is not to make you feel hopeless, right? I'm just giving you the facts. Because I think a lot of people are walking around thinking that because Eric Adams is running as an independent, he has no chance. I just want to remind you what happened in Buffalo, New York, a couple of years ago. There was a candidate by the name of India Walton. She was running as, I believe, a Democratic socialist, and she won in the primary. And then in the general election, she lost to a write-in candidate. So do not sleep on Eric Adams. He could still win again.
Defund the police. This candidate, Democratic socialist, he wants to freeze the rent. He wants city-run grocery stores, social workers to replace the police because that's going to help. He wants $60 billion of debt fund for affordable housing. He wants free buses, no cost for childcare, baby baskets for newborn, and a $30 minimum wage. How can someone vote for this?
So again, it's Fox News, so you know how they're going to be. But the reality is all of these things are doable. Baltimore, my hometown Baltimore, has a free bus. It's called the Charm City bus. It goes around the downtown area. It's free. You hop on, hop off. Like, those things can be done. Now, some of those things he would have to get approval of the governor, like just because we were talking about the buses, that is public transportation. You can't make that decision by yourself without going through the state as well. But some of these things he can do on his own, like the rent freeze. From what I understand, when Mayor de Blasio was in office, he implemented a rent freeze in New York City. So some of these things can be done. Now, I want you to think about something for a second, because they're saying this is insane for him to want to do these things, right? And let me tell you how corporate media shows you who they are. They show their whole ass, right? It's insane for him to want to help people in New York City. Like, these types of things that other countries just have. Just have, by the way. But these same people, you will never hear them call out that pretty much almost all of our allies have things like this. They have services like this. Israel, right? A lot of the European countries, They have these services. So keep that in mind. Let's continue.
He's a snake oil salesman. Mm-hmm. He will say and do anything to get elected. Think about this for a moment. He wants to raise 1%. He wants to raise tax on 1% of New York's high-income earners. As a mayor, you don't have the authority to do that. You know who has the authority to do that? An assemblyman, which he is. He wants to do free buses. He could have done it at assemblyman. He doesn't understand the power of government and how you must making sure you improve your economy, raise the standard of living. And this is what we've done in the city. And I'm looking.
I don't remember. This is not what I've heard from people. New Yorkers that I know that live in New York said Eric Adams has been horrible as mayor. So my question is, Eric Adams, what did you do while you were mayor there? Because the last time I was in New York, which was in March, everything's still expensive. Didn't you decide to cut funding from the sanitation department? Didn't you decide to do that? So you're just gonna let the trash just pile up, and we all know how the city can smell in the summertime. Like, let's just keep it real. So you think that's a good thing to do? Didn't you decide to cut funds from the libraries? Is that supposed to be helping people in New York? I don't think so. It just I said it before. I don't understand why people voted for Eric Adams the first damn time. I really didn't get this with the number of candidates that were running in that race.
Looking forward to being on the campaign trail and showing New Yorkers we can't go backwards. And New Yorkers never surrender or quit. I'm never going to quit for the city that I love.
That is so interesting. You're in the position, so you know you don't have the authority to do that. Yet he's running on all these promises he's not going to be able to fulfill. And New Yorkers are buying it. Now, Cuomo did say
Well, pause here for a second. You know who else ran on promises that they couldn't fulfill? Donald Trump did that too. Donald Trump did that too, but you won't see them say that.
Hasn't ruled out whether or not he's going to run as an independent, which means he would be on your ticket. He would run against you. How would that affect your race in the field?
I've said this over and over again. People know me by saying three things: stay focused, no distractions, and grind. That's what everyday New Yorkers do. I'm a working class mayor. I'm probably the first working class union card carrying mayor in the history of this city. Andrew at this time should realize that the time has moved on. He just did not bring the energy of wanting to be mayor. And New Yorkers, they have this smell test. They know, do you want the job? You can't come out on weekends, go to a black church, go eat fried chicken, and all of a sudden saying that I have the black vote, I have the working class people vote. It's just not the reality.
But he did get the black vote. So let me tell you what I think is happening. Eric Adams doesn't want Andrew Cuomo to run in the general election as an independent or as no party affiliate, because that would pull votes away from him. He wants all of the votes that went to Andrew Cuomo in the primary to come to him. If both of them are in the general election, that's going to split votes between the two. And that could actually help Zoran. That's what that's about. New Yorkers, you got some, look, I don't know what you guys going to do. I don't know what you're going to do, but this is an interesting clip here from Case Study QB. I think this is interesting. Listen to this.
I heard last night from folks in, the Orthodox Jewish community. They are going to back Eric Adams. They like him. They spent a lot of time working with him. But it's not a done deal, because last night Mamdani got 1,600 votes in Borough Park, which is a place that is predominantly Jewish, but also is a place where he has tried to make inroads and say, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm just not pro-Israel. I am pro-Palestinian. And we'll see how that works. But Adams has a really big coalition. The issue was that Cuomo was eating into that coalition. Now, if he actually exits the race and doesn't do it as an independent, you really could see Adams's coalition coming back. And it'll be a really interesting fight. So you guys see what he's saying?
That's what I was talking about. Yeah. So Eric Adams needs Andrew Cuomo to not be in the general election, is basically what he's saying. But again, I just want to remind you who Eric Adams is. Like I said, we ain't got no favorites. We ain't got no favorites on here. I want to remind you who Eric Adams is. He was indicted on bribery, fraud, and soliciting illegal foreign campaign donations. The Trump's DOJ dismissed the charges so Adams could implement Trump's immigration policies. This is who the establishment is going all in on to stop Mamdani in November, a criminal. Now, the same people, and this is the point I want to make, right? Illegal campaign contributions. Some of the same people who sat up there and said, Donald Trump, people shouldn't vote for him because he's a criminal. Some of those same people supported Eric Adams. And some of them going to support him again. This is what I mean about the parties. This is exactly what I was talking about. It is, either you got principles or you don't. But you can't just say I have principles when it's that party, but not when it's my party. This guy's corrupt. This is the best that they want to throw at New York. I'll leave you with this. Just a tidbit, just a reminder of Eric Adams.
So this is a biblical moment. When Jesus was on the cross, he said, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. All these Negroes who are asking me to step down, God, forgive them. So,
see the arrogance? That was after he was indicted. See how arrogant he was? I'm going to pray for you, New Yorkers. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.